And welcome back to the Patrick Carr Show. A great opportunity for us to have this time together where hopefully we can bring value to your life to make you a better entrepreneur, leader, and individual in your life. Today I want to talk about something that might sound a little bit bleak. You know, sometimes we start off that way, but I hope that we end by bringing extreme value to your life to make it better. But it's how to stop tolerating yourself. There are a lot of you out there right now that have been tolerating your behavior. You've been tolerating where you're at in your life. You've been tolerating your lack of action. And you're just simply tolerating yourself. But you don't love you. You're not happy with you. And one of the worst positions you can be at in life is being lukewarm. I had one person tell me one time that tolerating, let's talk about that. He said, one of the worst things you can do is be born middle class. Because when you're born middle class, you don't ever want for anything because you've got enough. But you're not poor so that you want more. But you also are not rich so that you understand how to use money and you believe that you deserve this up here. You've just stuck in this middle of being lukewarm and tolerating yourself, tolerating life. Now, if you're anything like me where you grew up with parents, they oftentimes did that and that's where you learned it from. They tolerated a job that they didn't like. They tolerated going to work at a place they didn't want to go to. And what you saw growing up was just constantly somebody who was just getting by, doing what was necessary. They didn't have great days, did they? If you're any parent, you never saw those days. If they did, they constantly seemed tired and beat up with what they were doing. And so we learn this behavior from the people around us, how to start just tolerating life. And I'm telling you, and I have been there, is that you will go years of tolerating things. And it almost becomes something that becomes a part of your personality. In fact, it does, because it just becomes part of your everyday emotion that you regulate within your body. I'm going to give you an example that I heard from Ed Milet. I want you to look at your life like a thermostat on a wall. If you set your thermostat to 75 degrees, and a hot air blows in, and momentarily you get up to 78. What's gonna happen? Thermostat's gonna kick on, cooler air is gonna come in, and it's gonna bring you down to 75, correct? Well, what if cold air rushes in? Brought it down to 70. Gonna kick on, and then it's gonna move it back up to 75. So in other words, you're tolerating life wherever you set your thermostat at. If it's at 75, you're always going to be at 75. Every part of your life has a different thermostat. Now, this is not me, this is coming from Ed Milet, but I want you to think about what I'm telling you right now. Are you tolerating a 75 degree right here, just average, but yet over here you're on fire, you're 90 degrees up here? Whatever you tolerate is where you're always gonna go back down to, all right? And so in doing this, you need to find out in your life, where are you just tolerating things right now? Where, man, it seems like you get a little bit ahead and then you just fall back down to that 75 degree, don't you? And it feels like you're on fire for a couple weeks, and then you just fall back down to here. You're tolerating things. And that's why you constantly cannot move ahead of where you want to be right now. You've got to increase the temperature on that thermostat right now. And today I wanted to go through how do we do that? Some simple steps right now that you can begin to stop tolerating, increase that thermostat temperature in a various aspect of your life and achieve more and get more from yourself. And the most important thing, love yourself more. You're meant to do something great in this world. Everyone is. No one was meant to be average. No one. And so we allow other people that dictate our life or put things like fear or anxiety into us. And we're letting those people dictate where our thermostat is going to be set. Stop letting other people dictate what your life is. And so let's talk about how do we move that thermostat up right now. The first thing you need to do, you need to become singularly focused on your goal or purpose. This is it sounds like, oh, well, that's great, Pat. That's easy to say. But what exactly does that mean? It means it needs to get real quiet in your head. You need to eliminate distractions. One of the things that is stopping people right now from achieving their goals are the immense amount of distractions and comfort they have in their life. You have a cell phone, you have all this time with friends, you have all this disposable time that you can do all this different stuff with. A lot of times, though, it's wasted hours upon hours a day looking at a screen. And so you're not singularly focused on one thing because you've allowed distractions to set into place. I'm going to give you a task here that'll help you understand just how unfocused you are in your life. And it was a real tough one for me to do. I just did this a few weeks ago, so I'm not going to tell you anything that I've not done myself. I want you to set a timer on your phone and give yourself a task. 20 minutes, I promise you, is probably enough time. Set the timer on your phone, put the phone somewhere where you're not able to look at it, and attempt to complete the task that you are out to do. Maybe it's writing an email, maybe it's setting a string of emails that you need to send, a follow-ups, phone calls, sales calls, whatever it might be. And think about how many times watch that you get distracted from wanting to look at something else, trying to grab for that phone. You go off into la la land and you all of a sudden are distracted by something that's going on. Your phone rings in another room or it's away from you, you have to go pick that up. Just 20 minutes of a singular focus on a task or an idea is difficult for people these days. But I want you to understand that that means there's an immense opportunity for you. Because individuals are so easily distracted, the minimum amount of effort and focus on your goal is going to put you so much further ahead than other people are at right now that they're not going to be able to touch you, all right? So I want you to really start to get singularly focused on what you're doing. A great task, set that timer and get focused. All you need to do is do that one time a day, and all of a sudden that 20 minutes, do it twice. Maybe it becomes 30, 40. And you're able to focus in on the task that you have at hand. Start to get purposeful, start to get real dark and narrow inside of your head. Now, one of the things we opened with is not tolerating yourself. Well, that means you have to become less tolerant of the people around you. And I know that, how would I put this? No one likes to be, or rarely are people in this world confrontational. But by setting what your boundaries are with somebody, it's not confrontational. It lets someone know what you're going to accept, what you're going to tolerate from them. And so what I want you to do is this. I want you to think about the places in your life that are offering the most distractions. Is it a person? Is it that friend who keeps on telling you to go to that bar you know you shouldn't go to? Is it an employee who keeps on interrupting you? Is it somebody that's not doing things correctly for you, and that way it's holding up your ability to do your job? What have you tolerated for too long? And then I want you to do is I need you to go and I need you to set boundaries. I need you to say, this is clearly what I am or I am not going to tolerate any longer. You will be amazed how well people work when they're giving boundaries and things that they need to accomplish for you. Stop assuming that everyone else knows that you're pissed off or that you don't like something simply because it's making your life more difficult. Set your boundaries and what you tolerate in your life. And that is what you're going to get. Next, you need to become aware of your shortcomings. Some of you out there think that you are, I don't know, let's just say you believe that you're the greatest public speaker there is in the world, and that you should be on stages and people should be paying you thousands of dollars to be on that stage. But you're not. You're really not that great, and you haven't put in the time, you haven't put in the hours and the practice, you don't have a clear and concise message, and you're not trying to bring anything of value to other people other than your own fame or fortune. But that's a lot easier to see from the outside. And so here's a great activity to become aware of your shortcomings and also become aware of what you're good at. Now, like I said, we're talking about how to not tolerate yourself. So if you're not that great at something, then become great at it. Stop tolerating being average and just telling other people that you're great. That's not the way you're going to get better. So here's what you do. You go to 3 friends and you ask them, what am I really good at? Now, it's going to kind of be a weird question to ask somebody. Hey, what am I really good at in your opinion? I'm trying to figure myself out more. Can you give me something I'm really good at? Listen to their answer. Allow them space to be truthful. And then ask them that question. Am I a really good public speaker? Do you believe that I should be paid thousands of dollars or not? Ask them the question and allow them the space to be able to answer it. And then ask a secondary question to that. What do I need to improve the most on? if I wanted to be that person that I think that I am. I want to be that great public speaker. What would you say I need to improve on? And again, listen to the answer and allow that truth to be your guide. The people around you want to see what is best for you if they are friends. They'll give you a truthful answer and then adjust accordingly. It doesn't matter sometimes what you think that you're great. Do other people recognize that? And if they don't, then let's figure out exactly why. Stop tolerating average because you're afraid to go ask for the opinion of other people. Next, we have to stop tolerating excuses, and you have to start blaming yourself. I do this, I do it to a fault sometimes, and other times I don't do it enough. This is probably of all the list, the one that I'm working on the most right now. It is easy to blame yourself, and that's only part of what you need to do. Blaming yourself, great, you made a mistake. But what are you doing now to correct it to make sure that it doesn't happen again? Just by simply accepting responsibility only to make the mistake again, well, that's probably the biggest sign of ignorance and arrogance tapped into one that I can see. So I want you to think about that. There's no excuses. It's not your friend's fault that you went and did something. It's not your client's fault that you weren't prepared. It's not an employee's fault. It's not anything. It's your fault. And then what are you doing next to ensure that it does not happen again? Now, am I saying that it is your fault? Am I saying that because the weather didn't allow you to do what you needed to do, that you are 100% at the fault here? No. But what I will tell you is by taking that responsibility, you won't let that be a problem again. You will find a way to make sure that you avoid that problem in the future by taking responsibility now instead of making an excuse that it was out of your control. 100% blame on you, zero excuses for other people. One of the biggest excuses that we see out there is I don't have enough resources. In the past, when I've coached individuals or I've been coached, I've used this excuse a lot. Well, if I had more money, I don't have enough resource. If I had more manpower, if I had better transportation, if I had more hours in the day, I don't have enough resources to do my job. Folks, your problem is not resources. It's resourcefulness. There are people out there who are addicted to meth, and they have no money. They wake up in the morning and their one singular task is to get high, even though they have no money. And they find a way to get it done, don't they? They have zero resources, but yet somehow they accomplish their goal day in, day out, almost too well, because they're so singularly focused on that goal that nothing stands in their way. You don't have a resources problem. The meth person has a resources problem, but they get resourceful in order to accomplish their goal. How resourceful are you right now? Or are you constantly saying that you don't have something in order to achieve what you claim is the number one singular goal in your life? No, you've begun to tolerate that as the problem. You begin to tolerate the excuse that you don't have resources. You got to get resourceful. You got to get urgent with what you're trying to accomplish right now. And then now you're going to see the doors begin to open up for you. And finally, this is going to be a tough one for many of you, is you have to separate yourself from people, well, oftentimes some people that claim they love you. The people that love us most in our life will often be the people that hold us back from achieving the things that we need to achieve to become great. And the reason for that is because greatness comes at a price. Everybody can tolerate somebody, but as soon as you start sacrificing, people who love you don't like to see you in pain, and so they'll try to convince you not to keep on going. The people that don't love you, which is going to be the vast majority, unfortunately, they're just not going to want to see you succeed, and so they'll try to talk you out of it. But the people that are closest to you are the ones that will prevent you from achieving the things that you want, either because they don't want to see you in pain, or secretly they want to be the person who tells others, "I told you so," when you don't succeed. I can't say this enough, that it's not easy to separate yourself from people, It's not easy to tell somebody, hey, you know what, I just need to take a break from you, or even just to say, hey, I'm just not going to answer the call anymore. I'm just going to get singularly focused on what I'm doing, separate myself from this group of people, and become better in the next 12 months. And I know that 12 months might seem like a long time. Heck, 6 months might seem like a long time. But a singular focus in only 90 days will change the rest of your life. I mean that. If you can get quiet in your head and you can separate yourself from the people that are distracting you, either out of love or some kind of passive aggressive, maybe hate or disdain for you wanting to be better, even if they don't realize it, then in 90 days, your life will change. I'm proof of that. It doesn't have to be years, 90 days. Mark it on your calendar. Do these things. Do not tolerate where you're at, and you in 90 days will be in so much of a better position. Maybe not even financially, maybe not in your job. That's not what I'm focused on here today. But you'll be in a better position with you and the relationship that you have with that person that's between the ears right there, and the conversation, the stories, and the narrative that you tell yourself. 90 days and you will be there if you can just stop tolerating the person that's in the mirror right now. Folks, I hope you get a lot of value out of the stuff that we do. We try to bring these monologues out at least every week. A lot of great questions come from people. I get some people online, and whether it be Instagram, they'll write me and say, something about this, touch on this one right here. And we appreciate all of that interaction. Drop us a comment, hit subscribe, so you'll be the first to know that when we come out with this content. We greatly appreciate you tuning in and making the Patrick Carr Show something that is a part of your life. Until next time, everybody, we'll see you later.